Rhythm tells us, I believe it's in 13:3, it says, even if what they tell you comes, don't follow them. Said, because if they're basically trying to lead you out of the path, then don't follow them. I have come to hear and understand a lot of things that are being said, and these things are not of the Abba. Y'all must understand something. Many times people talk about the Abba said to me, and I question that, because truly, if the Abba spoke to you, like you say he spoke to you, your appearance would change. There's a lot of things about us that would change. But I'm going to leave that right there. But I'm going to say this. It is imperative and important that we understand that the prophets were risen up for such a time as this, and even before us, to bring Yahshua back into a position to listen and to hear the voice of Abba Yahuwah. That is the purpose of the prophet. And that is to tell Yahshua to repent and turn back to the Abba. That is what the prophetic mantle is all about. Now, people prophesy and tell people different things and so forth. You got to remember there are many administrations that we as a... When Yahushua came and he gave gifts, let's check it out. Because all of us have an important part to do. Chapter 4, verse 11. And he himself gave some as emissaries, and some as prophets, and some as evangelists, and some as shepherds and teachers, for the perfecting of the Kodeshim, to work of service, to a building up of the body of the Mashiach, until we all come to the unity of the belief and of the knowledge of the Son of Yahuwah, to a perfect man, to the measure of the stature of the completeness of Mashiach. Why is this important? It is important because there is a building up that must be done. You have to understand, truly understand, and hear me well. It is imperative and important that we understand the gifts that have been given unto us as a people, and that is to edify us, and that is to get us in a place that we're strong enough that if we are in positions, it's just like, let me put it in this manner. When your immune system it has your body at 100%, then sicknesses can't come in and devastate you. Many times people don't realize it, but if you get a cut and you don't tend to that cut, you open yourself up to get sick. Right. You open yourself up to even catch a common cold. But when the immune system is at its finest or at 100%, you get a cut, you can clean it up and keep on going about your way. Why? Excuse me, because your body is in a position to fight off the bacteria or any kind of disease. It is the same thing with the body of the Hamashiach. If the body is not healthy, then diseases come in. What is a disease? Something that comes to fight the body to break it down. Right. Excuse me. As soon as I start talking now, my voice is going to start acting up. Now, it is imperative, and the reason I say this is because the enemy desires to destroy us. He desires to destroy us and keep us from becoming a body that is fit and that is healthy. It is imperative that we understand this. Why? Because you're going to always have those that will come and try to tell us what we should be doing, how we're supposed to do it, but they have no do that. Just like people tell you today, oh, if you need to be healed, go to the doctor. You better start questioning and really start praying, asking the Abba for natural remedies and natural ways, right? Because that's the way it's supposed to be. When you go to the hospital, the majority of the drugs that you get, excuse me, are synthetic. They're nothing more than a copycat of what is the original. And instead of them telling you to take the original, which is pacify the symptom, then this is where you understand you'll put you'll put hospitals out of commission, because now you don't have to keep going back for them to treat a symptom instead of giving you what you need to deal with the problem, the root of the problem. That is what is important. So when we begin to look at the prophets, so I wanted you to read that and look at that. There are positions. And as I was saying, when you have people that will encourage you and be able to speak into your life, many times we got to understand from what position. You have to understand what an exhorter is. Right. An exhorter is one who comes in to encourage. You remember when we were in Christianity and we said, oh, they're exhorting the service. Well, what they were doing was encouraging you to praise the Abba. What they were doing was encouraging you. And you know what I mean by Abba. But now that we have a greater understanding and we are walking in truth and not in that false way, then you have to understand someone tells you, says, you know what, I encourage you to do this, or, it's going to get better, or the Abba allows them to see into your life, does not mean that they are a prophet. It means that at that moment that the Ruach HaKodesh has given for us to understand. Why? Because now we have so many people that are saying things and telling us to do things, and I'm questioning that. And then when you ask them, they get offended. They get angry. It is imperative that we understand one assignment of a real prophet. And as we look into Hosea onto Layla, we're going to see Hosea had to deal with some things. If you look at the life of Hosea, you see Hosea had to deal with a lot of stuff. He had to marry. Then after marrying a harlot, he had to come back again. Had to love an Asha, loved by a friend in chapter 3. Then he had to have children and all these things. But he represented Abba Yahuwah, and Gomer and her children represented Yasharal. So you got to understand, we're all over the place. We were all over the place then. And even so, as we look at some of the things here, and we're going to look at, let's start at verse 1. Let's read verse 1, please. And as you read, I'm going to read a little bit of the commentary of it, but my goal is to get down further, but I do want to cover some of these. Let's see. Let's see, wait. Let's start. Yeah, let's read. Begin at verse 1. Let's read 5 verses for me, please.
No, and it is so.
All right.
Judgment is against you. You have been a snare at Mizpah, a net spread out on Tabor. The rebels are deep in slaughter. I will discipline all of them. I know all about Ephraim. Yasharal is not hidden from me. Ephraim, you have now turned to prostitution. Yasharal is corrupt. Their deeds do not permit them to return to their power. A spirit of prostitution is in their heart. They do not acknowledge Yahuwah. And it is so.
And it is so. Now the Abba is making plain through Hosea what is going on, prostitution. And anybody that understands prostitution, you understand that prostitutes sell themselves to the highest bidder. Whoever can take away what I'm going through, in certain places, prostitution is legalized. It's legalized. By Instagram and stuff they was trying to crack down on. They basically were saying, well, we trying to get rid of prostitution stuff thing and get out of here. Y'all know y'all had another motive. But anyway, the bottom line is that we understand, many of us understand the makeup of prostitution. And this is what Yasharal has done and continues to do. Somebody say, how so? We tend to look to outside sources instead of looking unto the Abba for our needs and for other things to be done. And many times when we end up doing this, we end up forsaking Abba Yahuwah and going to what we believe would be the quickest and the fastest remedy to get done what we need to have done. Right. Many times we say we don't, but many of our people were voters. And it surprised me. And I tell you the truth, it surprised me of how many Hebrews went and voted. Right. They went and pulled that arm, believing that this was the right way. And you start thinking, how in the world do you vote for people that don't even follow the Torah? Mm-hmm. What kind of rules, what kind of laws do you think are going to be set? If they are not helping us now, putting them in office sure ain't going to get them to do things. That's right. But many of our people went and voted. They played the harlot because basically what they were saying was that we believe that if we put the right person in office, then we will get our just due. Well, you ain't gonna get no just due from putting people in the office. Mm-hmm. I've never voted and I never will. Mm-hmm. I never voted and I never will. Because number one, I don't need to vote and I'm not going to. Right. Yes, we live in this world and this is our place, but we do not have to be governed by certain rules that are set here. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that, we understand. Let's just use wisdom and just common knowledge and common sense. If you're coming up to a stop sign, it's a law to stop. Why? Because that protects you and other people. Okay. But then there are some laws that we do not have to adhere to. Are y'all following me? Mm-hmm. Which is very important for us to understand that. Why is it important for us to understand that? Because you have a choice. You have a choice in the matter. Many times we follow what is called the color of law instead of demanding that the law be enforced. Many times, and I'm going to say this is just kind of a sidebar I'm going to take, because anybody that goes to Walmart, and every time they see us in Walmart, I know they hate to see my face, because when they get to talking about receipt, you're not getting my receipt. That's the color of law. As I called them and talked to them in corporate, I said, unless you put it in writing, you got to tell your people, leave me alone about showing them a receipt. Because once I pay for it, it becomes private property. They got enough of cameras in there to know that I paid for my stuff and not stole it. Now, when I get to the door, you have no right. This is not Sam's. And see, the thing that many people don't understand is that when you sign up with Sam's, you have to, because that is a paid organization. So you pay to be a part of that. So you have to show them your receipt, or don't, be a part of that program. I understand that. But with Walmart, you don't have to stop. And they'll try to make you feel like you have to stop. And I told them, I said, sweetheart, you trying to follow the color of law. I follow the law. And until you put it in writing, you have no right to try to enforce it. Oh, they'll tell you in a minute, I'll call the police. No dogs allowed unless they're service dogs. That is a law. And in order for it to be enforced, it has to be in writing.
That's right.
So I said, where is it that I have to show you my receipt? They gladly move right on out my way. They don't even stop us now. I don't care what I have. And I tell them, you better not put your hands on me. That's another thing. Don't have to. But we've been so programmed and not brainwashed. I know we've come into a habit of saying it's supposed to be clean. So if you brainwash somebody, that means you're washing their brain. Indoctrination is what I like to say, is that people have been indoctrinated to the point that they don't want to hear reason. And when you begin to show them, you say, look, y'all understand what's going on. If we trust the Abba, we got to trust him from A to Z. You got to trust him in every area of your life. We all do. And so this is why they were getting in trouble. And judgment, this is why it's important, their weaknesses. And we learn how they interacted with the Abba. Have you ever noticed if you have children or even siblings, if you had a sister or older brother and we had younger siblings, that however that older sibling reacted or responded to your parents, that's the way everybody else tried to get on board because they felt like it was okay to do so. It's the truth. We may not sometimes want to admit it, but it's the truth. Because the younger, the influence. Are y'all following me? That's important for us to understand. All right, now let's look at 6, 7, 8, and 9. So let's 6, 7, 8, and 9. Because we're at 5, right? No, you read 4? Okay, 5. I'm sorry, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yashar's arrogance testifies against them. Both Yashar and Ephraim stumbled because of their wickedness. Even Yehuda will stumble with them. They go with their flocks and herds to seek Yahuwah, but do not find him. He has withdrawn from them. They betrayed Yahuwah. Indeed, they gave birth to illegitimate children. Now the new moon will devour them along with their fields. Blow the horn in Gibeah, the trumpet in Ramah. Raise the war cry in Beth Aven. After you, Benjamin. And it is so.
And it is so. All right, let's look at this. This is one of the things that, as I studied, really had me looking at, and sometimes it's really quick if we're not careful to misinterpret the writing when it says strange children. Many times that our people tend to say, oh, that's them, mingling with other people. But you got to understand what's being said here. He's talking to the children of Yahshua, nobody else.
That's right.
And the importance of understanding is that what is going on here. Look at my verse. Let me find my verse. Verse 7. They have acted treacherously against Yahuwah, for they have brought forth strange children. Now, in order to understand when it says brought forth strange children, it is not talking about them marrying anybody else. It is talking about them being married and their code of conduct around their children. And even before the children are conceived, that this is the character that the children are going to bring forth because of the character and the code of conduct that the parents have. Have you ever noticed that when people, you be like, man, them people are rough, that they have rough children too?
Yes.
Even as babies, you start thinking, how in the world can a baby that young be so rough? Well, you have to understand that baby has the same blood as the parents. And this is important for us to understand. Why is it important for us to understand? Because this helps us to assess how we are governing ourselves around our children. Are we being that example? Are we trying to present to the Abba strange children because they have adopted the same ways that we have concerning the Abba? Are y'all following me? It's important that we hear that. Let me read you something out of one of the commentaries. Let me get to it. All right. This is important. Now, strange children, alluding to children of whoredom, Hosea 1 and 2, 2 and 4. Strange or foreign implies to their idolatry. It was imported from abroad, or rather regarded by Abba Yahuwah as strangers, not his. In other words, they picked up strange ways from other people. I don't know how, you don't put them in a corner, time out. No, you spare the rod, you spoil the child. The Abba told us to spank our children. Many times people think that that's a harsh thing to do, which it is not. Why? Because you drive foolishness far from them. But they picked up habits from other people, and they began to indoctrinate those habits within the confinements of their home. And guess what happened? Their children start doing the same thing. And the Abba was like, okay, now not only are the parents doing this, but the truth, and you have a whole family, you have to bring your whole family in truth. You got to go in and undo what you did through indoctrination of falsehood.
That's right.
And this is important. Why is it important? Because if not, they will continue to have that same mindset that they had before you came into truth. Now, strange, he said, they're strange to me because they're doing the same thing that you did and not trusting. I'm going to show y'all something. When we were in Christianity, and my baby boy, who is 11 years of age now, when he was small, because we would not take them to the hospital. I took my daughter to the hospital one time when she was younger, and me and the nurse almost got into it about it because she wanted to give her a shot, and I told her no. All that immunization and all that stuff, I said, no, you will not. And she was just back and forth, and they be wanting to come back and forth with you and basically try to belittle you and make you feel like you stupid. I may not know all the terms and all the rest of that stuff because I'm not a doctor, but I know enough to know that you're not about to put that mess in my baby. She has a fever, and I'm coming to you to help me deal with the fever. I didn't come to you for her to try to take me back through vaccination, and me and her got into it. So I walked out with my baby. I took her out of there. I said, no, because you and nobody else are going to do this. But the issue comes in, y'all, is that when my baby was younger, instead of him wanting us to take him to the doctor, he would bring me the bottle of oil. They all Christian house on their mantle, on their night stand, wherever it was. You know that bottle of oil was right there. Are y'all hear me? And you put it up there, and you set it up there, and you wait, and you have it all over. And then when it's time, and they get sick, we still believe in all that. Have that bottle and bring it to us, and be like, pray for me, pray for me. Be like, what's the matter? My head hurt. Pray for me. That's because that's what they saw us doing. In order for them to have that same mentality, they got to see us doing it and believing him. If not, we bring forth strange fruit. Many times, once again, we think as the who was it wrote that movie? I can't think of that boy's name. Y'all know who I'm talking about with the glasses. And he wrote the movie, and it was called The Opposite. Was speaking of strange. He was talking about the idolatry that was imported into our homes concerning our children. Because we produce whatever we are, we're going to produce it in our children. If they see you, let them see you rising up. If you're going to have a meltdown, you need to let them see you also coming from a meltdown. You got to let them see you moving in conflict resolution. They have to see you in a place and in a point of resolution. If not, then they'll believe. What's the difference? You know, why should I believe anything different? Because I'm not being shown anything different. And so he gets on them about this. Once again, this has nothing to do, now follow what I'm about to say, with them marrying any other race. He's talking about what two Hebrews bring together, but they themselves are not lining up. So guess what happens? It is now foreign to him because they are not doing what they're supposed to do. Are y'all following me? All right. Now, let's see. Let me bring a little bit more out. Now, it's important that we understand. And he said, by Yahuwah as strangers, not his, as being reared in idolatry. The case is desperate. Well, not only the existing, but also the rising generation is reared in apostasy, letting them know, hey, this is not great, because you got to understand, whatever they learn, they're going to pass it on. And siblings are going to pass on characteristics and so forth and so on. And this is why it's important that we understand that you've got to be on top of it when it comes to your children. We got to be on top of it when it be our own lives. And especially now, if you have your children in public school. I don't have mine, and I don't encourage people to keep their children in public school. If you have children in public school, like, and he is over the educational department. Now you have to understand what that means. That means now they're going to be introducing not just sex, but they're going to be introducing same-sex marriages. They're going to be introducing all of these things to our children. And so it is imperative that you take them out of public school. Somebody say, but I don't have a college degree. Baby, if you know how to read and write, if you know how to comprehend and understand, then you are a teacher, because you're the first teacher that they will ever know. And you must understand, your children are imprinted by everybody they come in contact with. They're imprinted. And this is why you can't allow them imprinting your child, because you don't know what they've been imprinted with. If they're not walking in truth, you already know. You already know. But these are things, being in truth and wanting to please, and then your children are dirty. We can't do that. You follow me? We cannot do that. So it is imperative that these are things that we began to consider. Now, someone will say, but I don't have my children with me. So how ruach, that they are the chosen and that they are to live a certain way, you can, that code of conduct will follow them. Remember, the writings tell us, train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they are older, they will not stray from it. These are the things that are so important for us to understand. This is why a standard has to be met. You have to understand, these things are put in place to frustrate us as parents. It's put in place to basically make you feel like you have to go with the conditions that are offered. You have to accept this. You do not have to accept it, children. But one lady, she fought it, and she was able to take her child out, and she was still able to teach her child without their interference, and she allowed to do what she needed to do to train her child. Now that's important once again. And I know many times people that have worked and you got now, two parent working households, and sometimes people say that's difficult because of our workload. Well, this is another thing that I'm going to present to you as being Hebrews. There are some things that we should change. What is most important, your lifestyle or your child's future? And that what is going to imprint your child's ruach. That's important. And so it comes to a point where now you have to make a decision that you are going to either downsize, change what you're doing, or you continue to let them go to school. And I'm gonna tell you something. People say, well, I'll just pray over them. Sweetheart, if you know you going into a den of thieves, you going in there talking about you're gonna be packing, ain't gonna help you. Because you already know what you're going to encounter when you're in there. This is where belief has to come in, and we've got to believe him that he's going to make the situation better for us and not any other way. Are y'all following me? That's important to understand. Very important. All right. Now, he tells them a very brief space of time shall elapse, and then punishment shall overtake them. The allusion seems to be to money loans, which were by the month, not as with use by the year. You cannot put it off. The time of your destruction is suddenly coming on you. Just as the debtor must meet the creditor's demand at the expiration of the month, the prediction is of the invasion of Tiglath-Pileser, who carried away Reuben, Gad, Naphtali, and the half tribe of Manasseh. So you got to understand something. He said, this is not going to happen within a year's time. This is going to happen swiftly. And y'all must understand many things that we were looking at saying, oh, we might have a little time. We have time in some areas, but some areas, y'all, we really don't have time. There's some things we do not have time, and we've already been proven, and it's been proven and shown time and time again. We don't have a lot of time for. Now, he said, portion, that is possessions, their resources and garrisons will not avail to save them. From Yashia 57:6, portions as their idols. The context esteems this. The true portion, Yahuwah is the true portion of his people. Devarim chapter 32 and 9. It's important that we understand that Yahuwah is our portion and our help. And because he is our help, we got to look unto him. Now, I know, and I'm not saying this to bring anybody out or to open anybody. Many of us, now you got to understand, every household is going through something differently. And if you notice, and if any of y'all, and I'm be honest, like some of us are waiting for a stimulus check. Now, I'm saying that for this, and I'm just being WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. We have made up our minds that if we get it, fine. If we don't, fine. Why am I saying that? Because I've come to understand that if you focus on that, these people like to have people in these situations where they're up and they're down. They're up and they're down. 1 minute they tell you one thing, and the next thing they tell you another. And I'm being real. And so it's important that we understand. Get yourself something to do. Get yourself something to do. Mine is jewelry. That's what I do. I make my jewelry. I make my jewelry. And if I don't do anything, guess what? I'm still Baruch. I still eat. I still have clothes. I still have a roof over my head. It is imperative that we understand, utilize the gifts that he's giving you. Utilize them. What gift is he giving you? Somebody said, well, I really don't have anything. You have a great voice. Be a narrator. Narrate some books. Are you following me? You are a good typist. Type up some stuff. It's better that you work and believe the Abba to Baruch you. Watch this. May not come consistently yet, but it's better you believe and trust in him and put your trust in this government. Because the government does not care anything about us. And this is what happened to Yashua. They were believing everybody else, but not the one who was able to do everything for them and cause things to work their esteem in the timing that they needed. And it is so. All right, let's finish reading. Verse 10.
Are like those who are boundary markers. I will pour out my fury on them like water. Ephraim is oppressed, crushed in judgment. In Yehuda his wound, Ephraim went to Assyria and sent a delegation to the great king, but he cannot cure you or heal your wound. For I am like Ephraim, like a young lion to the house of Yehuda. And it is so.
And it is so. And that ladder, you see it? Okay, read that part for me too.
I will tear them to pieces and depart. I will carry them off, and no one can rescue them.
And it is so. All right, now the chiefs of Yehuda shall be like those who remove a border. And you know what borders are? Yes, you do. It's imperative that we understand once again what's going on. Now, the chiefs of Yehuda shall be like those who remove a border. On them, I pour out my wrath like water. Now, you got to understand, whenever a border is removed, that does one or two things. And either way, it works either on the person who, for the person that's doing it, or against the person that it's being done to. When a person moves a border, that means either they're getting land or they are giving land. And see, when they were moving borders, that was a problem, because you got to remember, Abba Yahuwah allotted a certain amount of land for everybody. And if you did that, that was stealing. So he said, this is what they were like to him, thieves. He said they were like thieves to him. The chiefs of Yehuda shall be like those who remove a border. On them I pour out my wrath like water. Ephraim is oppressed, crushed in judgment, because it pleased him to walk after Tasu. So I am to Ephraim like a moth, and to the house of Yehuda like rottenness. Anybody knows what a moth can do and rottenness? Moths go in and they lay larvae, and larvae destroys what? Clothes. It destroys clothes, fabric. It even gets in your food. So it's important that we understand. Yes, we're in Hosea chapter 5, verse 12 now. Verse 12. Hosea chapter 5, verse 12. All right. Now, it's important, once again, that we see what's going on. So I am to Ephraim like a moth, and to the house of Yehuda like rottenness. Moths go and destroy. Rottenness destroys. Are you following me? Anything that's rotten stinks. And eventually flies get on it, and it causes whatever it gets against or whatever. If it gets close enough, it'll spoil it. Have you ever heard the term, don't let one, it'll cause all the rest of it to become rotten and messed up as well. Sure. So the Abba is saying, I'm going to be to the house. Why? Let's remember two important things. One, how they allowed their children to behave and become. Two, because they did not trust and look unto him as their ultimate and all-time provider. They look to everything and everybody else. And in the time we live to do with all the stuff and the demands that are coming, as I was sharing with a family member on Tuyam, you must understand something. It is imperative that we stick with the writings. They can say and do whatever. They want us to believe they're going to destroy the world. They want us to believe that they're going to control the population and bring the population down to 2 people. They can't do it because if it is not substantiated in the writings, it is just their means of thinking that they're going to override and overrule the prophetic word that the Abba has already put out there. Right. Now you have to understand that's arrogance, and that's arrogance that's way beyond my comprehension, because I would like to know how you figure you're going to do it. Right. When you've not been given that authority, they've taken upon themselves a lot of things that has not been given. They have not been given the authority to do so. Now, understand, once again, I know they are promoting a lot of stuff and they are saying a lot of these things, but you have to understand, except the Abba is in control and doing it, they cannot, and except he gives them the authority to do so, they can talk till they blue in the face because they can't do it. They cannot do it. There are certain things they cannot do. They would desire to wipe us out as a people, but they can't do it. They cannot do it, period. And so it is imperative that we as the children of Yahshua remember this and continue to maintain our belief and stay encouraged. No matter what's going on, stay encouraged and continue to fight the great fight of belief, knowing that the Abba didn't bring us here to take us or to leave us. But there are things that we must do. You know the saying, it's time to get your house in order. That means it's time to get the house in order. That means get our children, but just knowing that the Abba is there to deliver and take care of us. Sickness, and Yahuwah saw his wound, then Ephraim went to Ashur and sent to Sisera. Many times, and I'm not saying this, because I know there are things that happen in our bodies and there are things that happen to us. Sometimes it's because of the way we eat or things we eat too much of or not enough of. And so, and I'm not saying it in this for this reason, but I am saying many times happen to us. If we would take a step back and just pray and ask the Abba, what are you trying to show me in this? Now, there's some things we know, okay, maybe I shouldn't have eaten that, because your body speaks to you. Your body will talk to you and tell you that does not agree. You should never have put that in your stomach. You should have never allowed that to go into your mouth and get into my stomach. There are things that we can tell that don't agree with us. And sometimes we will override that and say, it'll pass. It's just a little gas, or it'll pass. Instead of stopping for a moment and saying, wait, let me listen. You're speaking to me. You're telling me this doesn't agree with me. And many times we will run and we'll go to the doctor. And I'm not saying, understand what I'm saying. You got to do what you have to do where you are. Please hear what I'm saying, because I know many times, people take that, well, I ain't supposed to go to the doctor and I ain't supposed to do nothing. If you don't have an herbalist that you trust and you can deal with, then by all means, you make sure you find out what it is so that you can get it treated the right way. Not them giving you medication that you're going to keep going back and back and back and buying again and again. And the question is, if it's this expensive and I had to buy it, I thought it would have cleared it up the first time. Right. That's letting you know it's not to do that. It is just to basically pacify. And they were, the things they were doing, it was the Abba's way of getting their attention. Many things that are happening to us. Y'all, I had to stop a moment. That is my grandbaby. And it's just, helping to back her Nana up to let know that what I'm saying is legitimate. Because she is speaking. But the thing that is important to understand is that we want to make sure that anything we do, it is to look at and understand this is something that's going on. And then there are some things we stop and say, okay, Abba Yahuwah, are you speaking to me through this? Are you trying to get my attention through this? Never ever just, you got to tell me something. You got to show me something, because I just don't believe this would just come on me like this. What are you showing me? What are you telling me? What do I need to do with this? How do I understand it? How do I interpret what you are saying to me? Right. What you are saying through my body. Right. And so These are things, but what did they do? They went to these people that were familiar to them. Now, mind you, it is because they had already lost their belief in the Abba. We don't want to lose our belief in him. We don't. We want to continue to have an open window and an open door to where in these times we need him. He's right there to deliver us. He's right there to tell us what we need to do. If he doesn't bring swift healing, then show me what I need to do, Abba Yahuwah, to remove this pain. Are y'all following me? Because there are some things that we can do. We just need to do it.
Right.
Whether it's changing our diet, and I don't mean cutting meat out your diet, because I truly believe that meat is a very important part because of the proteins, because of the enzymes, and I ain't talking about pork. I'm talking about meat, red meat that is good meat, quality meat, not no slop. I'm talking about good meat that you understand that you can eat because you need the magnesium, the potassium, you need all those things that are in it. And I'm not saying that you have to be a carnivore. You got to eat it all the time. I'm not saying that. I'm saying eat great stuff. And something I've learned is when you eat your meat, we're trying to incorporate. Let me hip you to something as well. Many times you don't have to cook it, but you need to steam it to get the enzymes activated. Because understand something, when you eat food, it's broken down until it gets into your stomach. Your mouth breaks it down. The acid in your mouth begins to get into your bloodstream and ready to do what it needs to do for us as understand. And your body will function properly them to turn to him.
Right.
Are y'all following me? That's important. And never ever throw out prayer. Always pray. You know, these are things that are important. So this is a thing that is so we know we're doing it the right way. These are things that are important. So this is a thing that is so important for us. Now, once again, they realize, but he is unable to heal you or to remove the womb from you. There are some things that will never be removed from us except the Abba does it. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard, just as I have heard, some of our people, I won't say many, some of our people and some of the people have not acknowledged that they're the real people, trying to get reparations from the government. And you understand, many people are out there saying, we need reparations and they got to pay us. Send something. They didn't take our land away from us. The Abba removed us. It's like an eviction. We got evicted.
That's right.
And the only one that can pay us is the Abba. So we'll run out of reparations and we need this because we can have this. And even many people, I've heard many people, we need this because we can have this. And even many people, I've heard many people, don't give me no mule and no land. And understand something. When it is time for us to get what belongs to us, I'm not saying this to be malicious or mean, because we've lived in little tiny apartments. And when I say little tiny apartments, and I ain't talking about nothing to look at, you take something that does not have the heart of mind to advance or to upgrade, promote it, and take care of it.
Right.
Are you hearing me? They're not going to appreciate it. Do it. They will take it and they will splurge it, and they will, you know, as the writings say, a fool and his money are soon parted. They will be parted from that money because of not having a plan. So it's important and imperative that we understand that we have a plan. Even with $5, you still need a plan.
Right.
Because it's easy to burn $5, especially when that's all you have. Trust me. Are you following me? But if you got in your mind, go to the store, I got $5, and this $5 has to stretch me to the end of the week. I'm going to buy what I need, not what I want. Needs come first, not my wants. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy some beans. I'm going to buy some rice, some brown rice, not no white rice, brown rice. I'm going to buy, if I have to buy margarine, I buy margarine. I buy vegetables. If I can't afford any meat, then I buy vegetables. I buy something that's going to hit potatoes. Are y'all following me? A baked potato thing, everything. So all we have to do is follow the plan that he's already given us and not be as they are. And prove to him you trust him. When you look unto him and not to anybody else. Because the writer, we don't want to duplicate what they've already done. We want to walk differently when it comes to these things. Now listen what it says. For I am lions, older, mature lions. They don't play with their food. They will tear you up, eat you up without a thought. And young are able to do what they need to do. They obviously want to fall into the hands of the Abba, and he's angry. Ancestors. Now, this is the verse 15 is the one that I really wanted to get to on to Layla. He says, after this, he says in verse 14, excuse me, he says, for I am like a lion to Ephraim. You're getting beat for something you were not for the reward and the benefits for a lead way or give them allowance to come in, which is wrong.
Right.
Because they didn't do anything to cause the Abba to say that I'm going to tear you. And once I tear you, I'm going to drag you away. Now, you got to understand, if you watch anything in nature, you understand when a lion gets a hold of something, excuse me, and he drags it away.
Yep.
That's ball game. Ain't nothing pretty about seeing a lion drag something away. It hits the rocks. It's all tore up. It's all bloody. He said, I'm going to do it. Now, verse 15. Now, you have to understand, when I read this thing literally just had my heart and something. Our people got the Abba so frustrated. And understand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to humanize him. Please hear that Yahush is not the son of Abba Yahuwah. But what I am doing here is I want to make a reference to this. Abba Yahuwah in verse 15 says, I shall go, I shall return to my place until they confess their guilt and seek my face. In their distress, diligently search for me and say, come and let us turn back to Yahuwah, for he has torn, but he does heal. He does heal us. He has stricken, but he binds us up. Name something. This is why I constantly say to our people, yo, let's read, let's look. The I could not tell you. I would not even dare lie and even try to make up where he went. But wherever he went, stress, diligently search for me and say, for us all to say, for he has torn, but he does heal us. He has stricken, but he binds us up. Now, my question to you as I ask, now with that, I want to show you, this is why it is imperative that we accept Yahush. And you got to remember, I believe Hoshe was a contemporary of Yashia. I believe it was Yashia. He might have been around the time of Jeremiah as well. But you got to understand, as forerunners, you have to understand something that is very important, that we don't get anything from the out. Nothing else. Because he is the understanding. Without, read this to you. Chapter 5, my favorite chapters. And verse 20. I'm going to look at verse 11 and we'll go down. But I want to go to Yehukin and Aleph, chapter 5, and let's look at verse 20. Why is this important? Once again, it is important that we understand in order to bring change into our lives, it is imperative that we follow the instructions that have been already played out for